Mumbai wouldn't be complete if not for its Ganpati festival. The passion with which idols are prepared at workshops is unbelievable. The sheer scale will mesmerize you. You will find Ganus of all shapes, sizes, and colors. Today in my kitchen, we take a peek at Ganu's favorite dish. Welcome to Dakshin Curry. You've learned from me how to make modak dough with a twist, right? Obviously, we are going to fill it. And I'm not going to show you a sweet filling like the general modaks. I'm going to show you a savory filling. Let's see how to make it. Now, if you have a steamer, or those bamboo baskets that you use for making momo, you can use those. Else, what you can do is what I'm doing right now. Take a deep pan, add some water. And now, I'm going to place a ring mold on which I'll be placing my stand. Now here I have a idli mold. Just going to grease this with a little bit of oil. And I'm going to keep this aside. And we'll just cover this till it comes to a boil. So what are we going to steam? Like I told you, it's a savory filling. So here I have a nice and thick paste which is made with urad dal, green chilies and salt. What I have done is I have just soaked urad dal for say half an hour till it fluffs up nicely, drained off all the water and then ground it with green chilies and salt. Ensure that you don't add too much water while grinding. The water content which will be there in the soaked urad dal, that should be enough to grind it into a nice paste. It should be nice and thick. So what I'm going to do is, I'm just going to make small roundels of this dough. You can see it's nice and thick. Now this texture is very important because once it is steamed, we are going to flavor it a little bit more. Right now it only has seasoning, right? I can see that the water is coming to a boil. There you go, this is ready. Now I'm going to place this inside and we'll allow this to steam for say 8 to 10 minutes or when the color starts to change. I'll show you how the color is going to change. So let's have a look. Now firstly, if you check, this is nice and hard. I think this is almost done. What I'm going to do is, I'm going to switch off the flame and I'm going to allow this to cool down a little. I'm going to cover it and keep it aside for say a couple of minutes and then I'm going to crumble it. So I'm going to remove this now. It's still hot, so be careful, and transfer this onto a bowl. Now once this cools down a little, we'll be able to crumble this. Now for people who are not interested in crumbling it using their fingers, they can cool this down completely and then use a mixer grinder to do the same. But if you're going to do that, you have to ensure that this is cooled down completely. Otherwise, it's again going to form into a lump, which really doesn't work for this filling. So this is cooling down little by little. So I'm just breaking this into smaller pieces so that it becomes easy for me to crumble it finely. So the mixture is cooled down completely. After 5 minutes of crumbling, this is ready. As you can see, the texture, it's nice and fine. And the idea of getting this texture is don't add too much water while grinding. And urad dal can't be soaked less. So you have to be a little careful there. Now this just has urad dal, right? Not much of flavoring. So let's give it a basic tempering. I'm going to keep this aside right now. And let's take this pan here. Switch it on. Going to add little oil. Don't need much, just say around 2 teaspoons. In goes some mustard seeds. Allow it to crackle. And once it starts crackling, we'll add some curry leaves. Now what I've done is, I have slivered them because you're going to be stuffing this, right? So you don't want whole pieces. And now I'm going to add this mixture that I have prepared. Now if I were not to stuff this, just eat it like that as a snack, it would be called Ulund Purnam, and my father loves this. He has this as a snack apart from having the modaks. I didn't tell you what we call the modaks in Tamil, right? We call it Kodakattai. Yeah, I know it's a bit of a tongue twister, a long name, but the recipe is nice. I'm going to add a little bit of hing water. So this is whole hing which is dissolved in water. You can add hing powder also if you want. And I'm going to add a little bit of salt. That's about it. I'm going to mix this up. And this doesn't need too much of cooking. Last but not the least, coconut. We can never have enough coconut in our recipes. Now you don't need to cook this much. I can actually switch off the flame. And what I'm going to do is, I'm going to keep this aside to cool down. And you remember I showed you the dough, the modak dough with ragi flour. It's time to remove it out. Let's keep this aside. Now my dad likes to have Purnam with a little bit of lime juice. So I'm going to add that. Now, he has that only as a snack, but I'm going to add it even to the steamed modak. So a little bit of lime juice. Now the dough which I had prepared first. What I'm going to do is I'm going to knead it again, because you don't want the dough to be dry. It has to be pliable. So a little bit of oil. And now knead this once more. And whenever you're not using this dough, it's always best to keep it covered. Okay, so now our dough is ready. You can see obviously the color is different because I've used ragi in it. You can check out the recipe for the modak dough with ragi. So this is kneaded well. So let's prepare roundels. Again, I'm going to dab a little bit of oil here. And first, take this, and now what we are going to do is we are going to make it like a cup. You start pressing from the edges like this. If the dough is a little sticky, you can always use a little bit of oil. You can see this is how it looks. And now we are going to stuff this. So I'm going to take a portion of my filling, place this inside, and carefully close this. First seal the edges. You'll find some people at home when we make it, they just do this, just keep it like that. But I think that a modak should look a little more pretty. So press the edges, kind of thin it down like this first, and then start folding inwards like this. It's not that difficult. There you go. That's all it takes. This is ready. Keeping this aside, and I'm going to follow the same procedure for the rest of the dough and the stuffing. So while I've been shaping these kodakattes, modaks, I've kept some water to boil, obviously to steam. This is the last one. And I'm going to again add this. So usually what happens at home is, once you're done with making this, the Purnam usually, ज़्यादा बन जाता है. So what we do is we add this lime juice and we have it as a snack like this. So once this is ready, let's check the water. Okay, the water is just coming to a simmer. I'm going to take a idli mold and grease it again. And because I've made pretty large ones, I'm going to place just 4 of these right now. And this is very healthy, it's very less oil. It's made with nice healthy ingredients. Last but not the least, the lid. And we'll allow this to steam for good 8 to 10 minutes, or when the color changes, because this has ragi in it, you will be able to notice that the color has changed and that the modak is cooked. So it's almost been 10 minutes. Let's have a look. As you can see, the color has changed and this is definitely cooked. Now what I'm going to do is, I'm going to switch off the flame and allow it to cool down a little bit before I remove it from the mold. So this Chaturthi, let's give our little Ganu a modak with a twist. If you have liked watching this recipe, do click on the like, share and subscribe button.